Sup nerds? Check out this beast! The Xperia Play, complete with smudges. Back when Sony Ericsson was still an actual brand, this is of course the infamous gaming phone, or the PlayStation phone. And yeah, when you slide it open, it automatically turns on. How cool is that? This is the consumer's dream for any nerd back in the early 2010s. Sadly, sales for this little guy didn't do well back then, because they coupled this with the PS Vita, and that was considered a commercial failure as well. And even though by today's standards this is just a crappy phone now, especially if you compare it to like the standard Galaxy phones from nowadays, at the time it was a good 4-inch screen with a sensor on top for proximity in calls and auto brightness. There's the front speaker, and he has 2 stereo speakers underneath here. An audio jack, a USB micro port, camera and flash on the back. This here is the volume rocker, which makes sense for where it would be on a normal phone. But the cool thing about it is that if you turn it around for gaming mode, it can serve as L2, R2 buttons, which already makes this have more buttons than the Vita. Also, the L and R buttons are made specifically for gaming. They don't do anything on the phone side, but we still think it's a fantastic design. It has the 4 Android buttons on the front. Yeah, 4. Power button up here. And like all good phones that came out back then, the backplate pops out so that you can have easy access to the battery, in case you want to replace the 1500 milliamp battery and or your SD card as well. Well, we all miss when phones could do this. This is such an old version of Android, kinda nostalgic but also archaic. Back when custom ROMs were a popular thing to do. Ah yes, Android 2.3.7. And as you can see, it is a custom build, the X Elite Gamer Final Edition. A custom gingerbread kernel. Android 2.3 was gingerbread, I believe. And what a throwback. I remember some of my friends back in college making a big deal when gingerbread came out. But yeah, this thing is so old. Android 2 had a 480p screen, and like mentioned before, it only has 4 inches diagonally. The auto rotate whenever we open this is also a very nice touch. It only has 500 megabytes of RAM, which honestly was pretty awesome back then. A 1 GHz CPU, which can be overclocked, which the other bucket did here. Oh, and there's also 400 megabytes of internal storage, but a lot of that was taken over by bloatware, which sucked. But you can see how slim and low profile the controls are here. It really feels like the PSP Go in several different aspects. And then these little things here are not buttons, but touch-sensitive analog quote-quote sticks. And this is how the other bucket used to launch his games and play them while at school. The speakers for this little thing are ridiculous. This thing is a classic emulation handheld though. It worked really well for a lot of the old games, and by comparison, the Dingo A320, which came out worldwide on 2009, so not too long ago before the Xperia Play, which was from 2011, only had 32 megabytes of RAM, compared to the 500 megabyte of the Xperia Play. Of course, their prices were vastly different, but then so was the performance. As much as everybody loved the A320, me included, even with the open dingugs, it couldn't run PS1 in a satisfactory manner, and here, as you can see, it runs without any issues. The other bucket believes he's possibly the only person who has played Goodboy Galaxy on a Xperia Play since this is a new release game.
$2,000 later.
And there it is. Save state, go home. Now just toss it in your pocket or your backpack and go to class. It's such a cool phone. Of course, it runs Android games as well, or at least Android games from back then, which still have support. Man, Crystal Defenders. I used to play this on my iPhone 4 back in college. Nice. But yeah, that's all we had to say and show about this little guy. Leave a like, subscribe, and you know the drill. Always are done.